Hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily. Let's get going. Hello. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. Up there is the AI. You want to introduce yourself?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
So, today is Season 2, Episode 186 for July 5th, 2023. Does this paint make my ship look fat? We've already selected all 12 of our articles. If you type in chat !vote, it will pull up the location for all of the articles, their little subtitles, and you can click on the links now. The titles that will take you to the articles here on ohmTown.com. I will, this episode, and maybe in others, I will continue to copy and paste them into the chat. Kind of makes a better VOD, but I'll be throwing them in the show notes after the show is done as well. Got a little bit of work to do to get all of that workflow done. But anyway, that's all inside baseball. Let's get into today's articles. What say you?
I say let's do it.
All right, let me move you right there. Okay. Things are out of hand. We're doing it live, folks, every day, 9 p.m. Eastern. Like, really? Yeah, we're doing it always live. Hello, Crazy Cat Lady. Wow, you are here. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Welcome to the show. We are just about halfway through the year. I mean, this is pretty quick, right? I mean, well, we're more than halfway through the year, but this is crazy.
Yeah, 2023 is moving very fast.
I'm not ready for it. I don't know. So yesterday was 4th of July. Did I see that you commented on a few articles? I didn't get any notices, but let me take a look. Maybe I did. I'll have to take a look. But that is awesome. Thank you very much for commenting on articles. That is absolutely awesome. Did you use the feature? We have a feature down here so that you can actually use Giphy. You know, a picture tells 1,000 words, right? Or says 1,000 words. Then you can actually use Giphy. It's a neat little feature. It's no longer attached to, it's attached to Pinterest now instead of Facebook. But anyway, that is awesome. Thank you very much, Cat Lady. Very awesome of you. So we have a new feature. I don't know if you were here right at the very beginning of it, but if you type in !vote in chat, it will actually give you a link to the elections where you can vote on the articles that you dig. And we tabulate all of those votes in the back end of ohmTown. And that actually does influence, to some degree, the news. Obviously, if there's some very pressing information or something going on, I don't know. We kind of weigh all of the articles, so don't take it personally. But yeah, we now have that feature fully operational. It is a fully operational Death Star. And you can go into the past elections, but those are a little wonky because we didn't do anything to activate their URLs. So it looks a little strange, but anyway, moving forward, you'll be able to get to all of the articles a whole lot faster. But again, like I said, I will be throwing the URLs into the chat as we go through. So if I don't, just warn me and I'll make sure I'm all up to date. But this is how it looks. For now, our past elections have a page where we add each one of the elections, and we switched back in May 19th, 2023. I switched from an external service to do it all on ohmTown itself. So every article that we have talked about now has a backlink from this page. So you can click on this link, it'll take you to an election. You can vote on the articles, follow the links from them, and each one of the articles has their own little pithy little title. So I hope you dig it, and if you have any recommendations to change it, I am not set on the color scheme. This is just a demonstration. Okay, but with all of that said, enough rambling. Let's get into the articles. Sound good?
Sounds great.
The very first article, and one that I don't know if I'll spend a lot of time talking about that unless you all want to. This is in the continuity report. All Indiana Jones movies ranked by Tomato Meter. There's a lot of talk, and I've actually seen some articles and some presser stuff regarding this last, the Dial of a Disaster. Destiny, doggone it. That was an abandoned movie title for it. Anyway, the co-star, his daughter, was really marginalized a lot in like presser stuff that I saw. I was astonished by how much, and even the whole, like, the tone of the interviews was really kind of diminishing. It was almost demeaning. I would say that at least one was absolutely demeaning. It was really weird. I can't believe it. But anyway, let's get into this. This is going to be interesting. It says, for Dr. Jones, there's plenty of time for love as we celebrate Indy and all his Nazi punching, snake fearing, museum advocating glory, right? Well, not so much. This is over at RottenTomatoes.com. I think a bunch of people had something to do with it. Not just one person, at least based on my observation. So I guess I have to say that RottenTomatoes.com put this article together, and they rate them. And number one is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Pretty much the entry. Yeah, it was well written. It's a lot of fun to watch. If you pay attention to it, though, there's some hinky stuff going on in there, which if you start going down this rabbit hole of the context of some of the interactions between the characters, you kind of go, Indy's kind of a creeper. We'll just move on. But Raiders of the Lost Ark was actually, okay, so the phrase never meet your heroes is pretty much accurate, though. Okay, because when you do peel back the layers of the onion like I regularly do, yeah, you kind of question what's going on here. Then Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I liked it. It was okay. Sean Connery was Dad and had somewhat of the same demeanor. Fun movie to watch. Neat special effects. I don't think that any of that, you have to suspend disbelief in a lot of this anyway, because there's some fantastical supernatural stuff in all of this. But it was a fun watch. Both of these circa 1980s, which at least for me was the pinnacle of movie-going experiences. Even if now you look at those 80s movies and go, oh my God, this is horrible, special effects were bad, the writing was kind of it was a lot of emo stuff and just kind of relationship trouble and strife, everything from Pretty in Pink to Better Off Dead to Breakfast Club. All of this, right, had great music and had just quirky personalities and stuff like that, but a lot of it would never have been made in this era. Then Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So I cannot believe that number 3 is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I thought everybody couldn't stand that one in the franchise. I don't understand this at all.
It says critics' consensus. Though the plot elements are certainly familiar, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull still delivers the thrills, and Harrison Ford's return in the title role is more than welcome. the story was excruciating. The only reason why I actually liked it is because of the gadgetry and stuff that took place, and that it was, well, it was aliens, and I think that kind of stuff is kind of cool. But Crazy Cat Lady says never seen any of these, so have no input. That's okay. Now, if not now, when? Time to fire them all up and start watching. Bill says, yeah, so this indie has to be good based on the trend. First one, great. Temple, meh. Last Crusade, excellent. Crystal Skull, kill me now. So based on the odds, Dial has to be good? Yeah, I don't know about that. The critics' consensus here doesn't really mean much because it doesn't say much. You have to go and look at the greater verbiage and review of the Crystal Skull. I don't think many people really liked Crystal Skull. It was too, I don't know, just too out there. And Shia LaBeouf didn't really bring it. He's the failed kid. They supposedly Shia LaBeouf was the one that was going to take over as Harrison Ford. There wasn't much chemistry there. He was basically the same kind of character that he has always played, apparently. I don't know him from anything other than Transformers and from Crystal Skull. And he would, I don't know, he's just like and I know Shia LaBeouf was a child actor that turned into an adult actor, and I think all he did was pull his child actor persona into adult, and it doesn't really do much for me. I just like either the tech, the gadgets, the stuff, or the fantastical elements of it, and I can suspend everything about Shia LaBeouf. Haven't seen Dial. Toll says haven't seen Dial, but there is no way it's worse than Skull. Yeah, hold my beer. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I actually liked that more than Crystal Skull and Last Crusade. It's a critics' consensus that says that it may be too dark for some, but Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom remains an ingenious adventure spectacle that showcases one of Hollywood's finest filmmaking teams in vintage form. I liked it, but it was literally the next. It was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom right after Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it was almost a contiguous set of characters moving on. And then I think it was Last Crusade. And now we're looking at Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It says it isn't as thrilling as earlier adventures, but the nostalgic rush of seeing Harrison Ford back in action helps Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny find new final bits of cinematic treasure. I haven't seen it yet, but I have to say that it's the end of the era of Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. He's doing the show at 80, so they're using technology to de-age him throughout this movie, and doing other movie tricks. And I have a hard time separating the real world persona, the real world actor, from their character when they act like a tool. And his jokey comment in just one interaction with during the movie junket, doing the interviews and stuff, he made some I don't know, kind of red light district joke about the co-star, and I kind of just said, yeah, I'm not really into this. And for all accounts, what people have said in their reviews is that Phoebe Waller-Bridge isn't very likable as a character, and definitely not one that's going to take the reins of Harrison Ford and continue the Indiana Jones kind of. So yeah, I don't know. I'll end up watching it, but probably not until it comes to a streaming service. Crazy Cat Lady says that in October 2020, Shia was charged with a misdemeanor battery and petty theft, really, after taking a man's hat following a physical altercation. Well, that's some charge amplification there. A few months later, singer FKA Twigs filed a lawsuit against him, claiming that he abused her during a relationship. Yeah, I would say that. Let's see, that was quite a ways away from when he was in Crystal Skull, right? But it speaks to the fact that I think that a lot of people who have great wealth become distanced from caring what other people say and do about them or around them or what they do and say themselves. They just kind of get their humanity ripped away from them. I find it quite fascinating. Crazy Cat Lady says that it removed him from the Transformers movies. Yeah, I didn't
realize that.
Yeah, it's so recent though. The only Transformer movie post 2020 would be the animal one that's out right now, I think, right? I'm not sure. But that's okay. You have a rundown here of the Indiana Jones movies, and I think I'll probably end up watching them all and then watching the Dial of Destiny, because if you have Disney, then you have access to all of them right now. You can watch them all. I actually own them all, I think. I'm not sure anymore. I got a lot of movies. So let's keep on trucking through these articles. Sound good?
Sounds good.
So this next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. This EV truck maker is gigacasting its battery packs for longevity. This is an Ars Technica article, and they say, we make no secret of our affection for the EV here at Ars, and that extends beyond the light-duty cars and trucks we usually drive and ride about. The commercial vehicle sector is electrifying too. But most of what we've seen in terms of commercial EVs is either at the lightest end of the scale, Class 2 trucks, like the Ford E-Transit, which I have an affection for, even though I've never owned one, never driven one. I've only seen it. For some reason, it speaks to me. And Bright Drop Zevo 600, which I've not even heard of, or the biggest Class 8 trucks that we've seen from Daimler and Volvo, and Tesla has one too. So let's go over to the article. It's over at Ars Technica. Jonathan M. Gitlin is the author. It says the deck statement here is the powertrain has been designed and built in-house for a 450,000 mile life. The battery packs on these things are still kind of fused in place, and it's very difficult to get them out and replace them and recondition them and fast swap them out. I know that I harp on the idea of fast swap batteries, but I think that's truly the only way we're going to get away from the high cost of an EV. Not people say, well, it doesn't cost much to recharge a battery. That's not the true cost. That is by far not the true cost of an EV. So how long does the average person keep a car? I don't know anymore. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. But anecdotally, I can say that I've never had to replace the power plant in any car because it has failed. So my issue is that batteries are going to fail. They're a consumable. Eventually they fail. I just watched a person that purchased a one-off concept vehicle that was built for $2 million. He bought it for $7,000. And the battery couldn't hold the charge to save its life, and had dead cells, imbalanced cells. This was over a period of about 15 years. The batteries are going to continuously be an issue, and they're going to end up in landfills, or you're going to have to sell them to not even sell them. You're going to have to pay somebody to take your battery off of you so that they can recondition it, or there's going to be some environmental duty tax or something going on with these batteries from EVs. Even if there are customers out there or businesses that will get them, it still is going to be expensive to process them and bring them back onto the market. But again, they're batteries, so they're getting consumed. The real cost of an EV is the cost of operating the EV for its lifetime. And if you're going to keep it, then you're going to have to replace the battery within 10 years. And it's somewhere between $7,000 and $15,000 currently. Just wait until supply and demand becomes a burden for lithium, or whatever the other high energy chemistry is that's going to be in place. So why are we paying for batteries? Why isn't it like a gas station where we drive in, we fast swap the batteries out, we pay $20, and somebody reconditions and babies the battery so that it can go into the next vehicle? And the company that puts that into your car, account for it and say, here's the quality of the battery. We guarantee that it'll get that charge from this point to that point, whatever the quality rating is. And you'll be able to drive it to the next gas station, just like you do right now with fossil fuels, with gasoline. So you don't pay for all of your gasoline all at once. You pay it in short little blips over the lifetime of your use of the car. But you're paying for the lifetime use of your battery all at once. That's why it's a luxury vehicle. That battery is so expensive that it is 1/3 of the price of the vehicle that you're purchasing. And you don't have a choice. It's going to fail. Now, try and sell your car 8 years after owning it. It has a 10-year lifespan. Whoever buys your EV now has the burden of your burnt out husk of a battery. So I think we've got a longer term problem. Not to mention, insurance doesn't know how to properly assign the burden of insurance for EVs. Resale value is hit or miss. Quality control plays a huge impact on it. Environment makes another impact on it. It's a hot mess, I think. So, what do you think? Do you have anything that you want to weigh in on regarding not just this article, because we really haven't talked about the article so much, but EVs in general, because they're talking about a 450,000 mile life, but you're not going to hit that.
Well, right. I mean, you're barely going to get near that with the battery piece. And I did look up, roughly people own traditional vehicles for 10 years, at least for the top 10 selling cars.
Right.
It was like 9 to 11 years or something like that. I don't have much more to add. I mean, we've talked about, it's like the manufacturers keep following the same method, but they don't seem to be trying different mechanisms. And so, like, we have the same battery and infrastructure issues that we're seeing with Tesla, etc.
Yeah. Toll says in chat that they're trying to remember an EV truck maker that allowed you to basically put a long item through the entirety of the car. I don't know what car that is. I know that there have been cars where you can put stuff in because it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have that, what do they call it? I can't remember, the little hump where the drivetrain is. They can pin it inside the cabin from the tail all the way into the cabin. I've seen those, but I can't remember it either. Oh, okay, Toll. I'll talk to you later. Thank you very much for coming and saying hi. Appreciate it. Well, with this vehicle, it's basically my favorite kind of truck, which is kind of the bread truck delivery vehicle. I love the idea of it. And I've always wanted one of these. What I would really like to do, though, is this thing actually has a really low center of gravity, and all of the weight is down here by the axle. And then it's just a massive amount of weight. That's all battery. It's an 800 volt system. Supposedly, you can fast charge this. And with all that weight down there, it's not going to be tippy canoe, but this is still fused in there. You can't easily get it out, not even in a secure manner can you get it out of there. So I'm distracted by the fact that the industry refuses to accept that we need to fast swap batteries out. Regardless of the shape, regardless of whatever the spec is for it, batteries are fundamentally the same. It's an energy source. Everybody is pretty much going the route of 800 volts. Why don't we standardize around it so it becomes a known quantity? And it used to be V8s, right? Bigger, more powerful cars were V10s, V12s. Luxury cars went that route, V10, V12, but a standard vehicle was a V8 of varying sizes. We standardized around disc brakes. We standardized around spark plugs, around tires, around all kinds of stuff. Yet here we have the basics of standardization, which is 800 volts. We know what the wheelbase is. We know what the chassis width is. We know what we need to do to get the battery in there. Why not design around the battery first and foremost, and then put a pretty skin over it? That's not what we do, though. We wedge this thing in. It becomes an unserviceable nightmare. And you cannot fast swap this out. You won't ever be able to retroactively fast swap this thing out because it's like wedged in between the frame. So, I love the idea of it, but they're basically casting these batteries to fit right into this spot. It's now proprietary. There's no standardization. It makes this a unique vehicle, which makes those batteries ass expensive. Just wildly expensive.
Right. Good luck if you break down.
Yep. And nothing's going to help you, right? Like an internal combustion engine, you can troubleshoot the hell out of it and find a solution. Even if it is, bubble gum and a toothpick, you can figure out what the problem is. But when this is wedged down in here, the only thing you're going to be able to do is break out a voltmeter and go, yep, bad battery pack. Okay, well, how do I get it out of there? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to remove the bolts from this side of the chassis and this side of the chassis. And then we're going to have to get a torch and cut off the back end of the car. Yeah, unless they've got some miraculous engineering going on here, I don't see this. But I love the idea of going all electric. So this here is just another harbinger of the coming age of electric vehicles, particularly moving into services like mail delivery. There's a whole bunch of electric vehicles that are mail delivery now. The USPS is doing it. UPS is apparently doing that as well. There's a whole bunch of companies that are moving over to EVs, typically for short run, local, and then they charge all night long. So I just wish that we would standardize so that we can make it a system where I'm not paying for a battery that is a known failure point. The physics doesn't lie. The batteries don't last in perpetuity. They become a non-viable paperweight, except it's just dead weight in a car. So I see a problem, a rolling problem, 10 years from the birth of the EV. 10 years, everybody's going to have a problem with their EV. Okay, let's keep on hustling. The next article is over in Warcrafters. In case there was any doubt, Google's privacy policy now explicitly states that it's going to suck up all of your data to train its AI. If you didn't know about this, now you do. So the article was written by Andy Chalk over at PCGamer.com. To me, I read this as they're aware of security and personal privacy issues. Okay, so since Gmail existed, we have been told the refrain that humans aren't looking at your ... whatever it might be that you're emailing. So coming from somebody who used to have a mail service that stopped spam before it ever left the spammer servers, I can tell you that mail is unprotected in transit from server to server. It is in plain text, so anybody can actually read it. All you have to do is be a relay proxy, part of the POP and SMTP server email system, and you can be a relay. And you would be able to read people's mail. It would just come in as packets and you can put them all together. It would actually become a .eml file, and it's easy to review stuff. Totally unethical, but again, I say business and ethics, the smallest chapter in the employee manual is ethics. So Google has updated its privacy policy to say that publicly available data will be used to train, it says Brad and the cloud AI.
I was trying not to giggle at that. I think it's supposed to be bird.
Yeah. I thought that was funny. Here's the problem with this. If it's training with the information that people are providing it, ultimately ChatGPT is going to spew that stuff out, or Bard is going to spew that stuff out, or somebody is going to spew out some concoction of that, because again, at the bottom of every ChatGPT page, it says that in not so many terms, I'm going to spit out some bullshit from time to time. And you just have to go, all right, okay, cool. I'm going to use that in my legal fight. So it says, naturally, Google collects data from your online activity, like the stuff you search for, the videos you watch, the things you buy, the people you talk to, actually, and the people that talk about you. There was a situation where I knew somebody that refused to get involved in any social media, and the moment that they did, it tied them to somebody that they had never looked for, they weren't doing anything with directly, but the service must have keyed in on something that the other person had done and made A connect to Z, and then notified the person that talked to me about it, saying, hey, I'm in a situation where that person is involved and we explicitly do not talk to each other. We don't look for each other online. We don't have any purpose to do that. Yet we're connected via a social media site. Creepy as hell. And so that put the kibosh on that person doing anything in social media, because it went beyond it. I mean, the scale of 0 to 10, this hit 11, because it wasn't an amicable type of negotiation that was taking place. So if it provided their information to my contact, did it provide my contact's information to the other person that was in that connection? Well, obviously we can't go pursuing that, right? Because the moment that you say, hey, can you provide me the process by which you ingested a shit ton of messages and searches and information, and how you managed to connect me to them? Lawsuit right there. You'd end up in court. Well, we're not going to say anything unless we hear from an attorney and a court order saying that we're going to provide information. We would, and it would turn into, well, it's business practices, and it's private, it's secret.
It's our algorithm.
Yeah, it's our algorithm, and it's protected by a patent, so you're not allowed to see anything for the next X number of whatever. I mean, algorithm. What you see in a patent for something like an algorithm is a system and a process. You don't actually see the algorithm. You see the system and method, system and process, system and whatever else terminology they want to say, but it's a system, and that can be protected. So they give you a proxy symbol. This is the algorithm that is doing X, Y, and Z. So this is going to be regurgitating everything that everybody says through the Google system. So you either have to become one with that, or you have to bow out of it entirely. I have to become one with it because it's more secure than some average Joe website service provider where a typical mail server is housed. Because it's not like they're absolutely fastidious about every single mail server that's in place. There's more moving parts, fewer people employed, salaries are different, care and feeding of employees is different. So, Google is going to be vastly more secure than many other sites. Apple is the same way. If anybody breaches the system security-wise, they're in for a world of hurt. But on the inside, this is going to be grabbing all of your mail, all of your traffic, all of your information, and then churning it into a buttery mess, and then spitting it back out onto everybody else's plate at some point. And you'll know it when somebody goes, I am the only person on the planet to ever turn that phrase, and here I am witnessing it in something that somebody else used ChatGPT for. It's like the artist. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so, I mean, it's not secure, of course, to use email for any sensitive information, but so could it even pull things like if somebody put their credit card number in an email, or their social security number, or whatever, just basically personal data, not just their message.
Yeah, Google knows that I look up My Little Pony Rainbow Adventure from time to time. Your ISP knows about every website that you go to, every single website. But what are you going to do? It's akin to putting all of your eggs in one basket, and then somebody just yeets that basket out from under you. Yeah, you're done. So you have to just roll with it, and not stress about it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You had better have alternate plans. So it says here, Bard is essentially Google's answer to ChatGPT, announced earlier this year, and much like other AI models, it hasn't entirely smooth sailing. In April, for instance, a report claimed that several Google employees had urged the company not to roll out Bard because the information it provided in response to queries was worse than useless and effectively made the chatbot a pathological liar. Yeah, well, it's sociopathic or psychopathic because it doesn't have any emotion. It doesn't understand emotion or it's the impact of the words that it is, churning in its system. It just spits out whatever it wants to spit out. And it's built off of the humans that it's data mining. It's not going to be a good time for AIs. Those who benefit from it are largely in the creative sector of things, because anything that is absolute, like science, like law, where there is certain things that have to be in a certain order, otherwise people die or go to jail or lose millions or whatever. I could care less that an AI is making music, writing books, whatever else, as long as it's fiction, as long as it's made up and not used as absolutely true, or entertainment, it's fine. But when it's churning through people's real information and then spitting out garbage, that's when I have a problem. So,
Hey, I was
go
going to
ahead.
say at the end of the article, it referenced something that's also in ohmTown. I don't think it's in the show today, but basically
Right.
some authors have sued, I think, ChatGPT.
Yeah. They filed their own lawsuit against OpenAI, alleging that ChatGPT violated copyright laws by using their works to train its AI model without permission, which I don't know. Um, words are words. It's what's protected is the embodiment in its printed form, in its digital form. If somebody buys it and consumes it, it's akin to an AI. I am an AI. I happen to be a biological computer. So if they purchased it, then fine. I could care less. Because it at the end of the day, it's just pure data. There's nothing more to it. They're not spitting out prose and saying that it was authored by Paul Tremblay. So it is just pure data. And, like I say about security in computers, the only way you're going to have an actually absolutely secure computer is it's never been powered on. It's sitting in a closet somewhere. It has no data on it. There's a secure computer. Anything short of that, yeah, it's not if, it's when you're going to be compromised. It's just data. If you don't want people to see it, if you don't ever want an AI or a computer or a person to actually be able to utilize it in some way, because I guarantee you there are other authors out there that are reading Paul Tremblay and Mona Awad and saying, I can write like them, and using them as the inspiration. Same thing with artists, music, everything. Anyway, let's keep on going. We're not even halfway through, but we're deep into the reeds here. Let's keep going. I want to at least allow you to go to sleep in a reasonable time. The next article is over in the Law Nerd channel. Judge accused of lip syncing racy songs in chambers and in bed in TikTok videos. Well, yeah, it was okay, I suppose. And then kind of it was the judge equivalent of a cat going push off the edge. So a New Jersey judge is facing an ethics complaint alleging that he lip-synced songs with graphic sexual references and inappropriate videos that he posted to TikTok. What?
Okay, first of all, what did the judge expect was going to happen from this?
I don't know. I'd like to know if my, I have this anecdotally supported theory that when you are rich and connected, then you lose touch with your humanity. I'm really curious if this person is that well off. Because obviously a judge is powerful enough that they can become disconnected from their humanity because they sit there and see trouble and strife all day long, almost like PTSD. Something happens to our psyche. So Deborah Castens Weiss over at abajournal.com put this article together. The accused judge, Judge Gary N. Wilcox of Bergen County, New Jersey, is 58 years old. His lawyer, Robert Hill, told the New York Times. The music detailed in the complaint is by mainstream performers, Hill said. This is music that's out there in public, and clearly it elicits a different response depending on who is listening. Yeah, but you don't sit there and lip sync. Wait, so he's blasting the music. There's a whole not safe for work concept, right? So you don't blast illicit lyrics in a workplace. This person obviously failed to understand even the nuance close to the Title IX training. And to be a judge, you're definitely going through Title IX training. Wilcox is accused of lip syncing the songs in his chambers, in the courthouse, and in his bed, according to the June 30th ethics complaint by New Jersey Supreme Court's Advisory Committee on Judicial Conduct. Now, I could care less if he's doing it in his bed. I could care less if he's posting those to YouTube or to TikTok. What happens in his bed is his business. The rest of it, though, maybe a little.
Wearing his official judicial robes while doing this.
You have no idea that what is an official judicial robe. Give me a break. It doesn't sit there. It's not military. It's not military garb with their name and their station, whatever it is they're doing, their whatchamacallit. Oh my god, my brain just locked up. It isn't. If not for somebody saying this person's a judge and looks to be wearing judicial robes, them being in their bed in their judicial robes doesn't mean anything to anybody. But doing it in public is a different animal, doing it in the courthouse, doing it in chambers. Obviously it's generally offensive to people, so just don't do it in the professional sense. The TikTok videos included references to violence and sex, misogyny. The ethics complaint said some contained profanity, graphic sexual references to female and male body parts, and racist terms. The whole thing just screams that they were being unprofessional in the workplace. But again, I could care less if you do a keg stand at a party and somebody posts it to YouTube. What I do when I am not working shouldn't be part and parcel to my day-to-day work life. That's why we have work-life balance. Now, will I be the one that's doing that kind of stuff? No. But that's a big difference, I will fight for the right for somebody to sit there and lip sync and air guitar whatever they want, even in their judicial robes, because a judicial robe is nothing more than maybe a slightly more flowing version of a wizard cape and hat. And there's only wizards.
Is that a competitor site?
Yes. Wilcox is a Harvard Law School grad. a former federal prosecutor and a former partner at a law firm. I don't know why it's actually being posted like that, but it's okay. According to law.com and Law 360, he was admitted to the bar in 1989 and is currently assigned to the criminal court. Wilcox posted 40 videos to TikTok in a public format from April 2021 to March 2023. 11 of the videos were inappropriate and brought disrepute to the judiciary, the ethics complaint said. Ah, man. Hindsight is 2020. Yeah, I guess.
Well, I think the issue is that a judge doesn't have the same step out of work mode that maybe other positions do.
Right. Yeah. I get it. It will come back to bite somebody on the butt, but I don't know. The online existence is part and parcel to existence in general, right? You're online, you're offline, it follows you, it's the internet is, the elephant that never forgets. And if you post something online and then you try it, if you try the Streisand effect, if you try and shut it down, it just gets amplified. I just think that when you aren't on the clock, you should be able to do whatever you want to do, as long as, you're not hurting somebody and sitting there, saying some lyrics. It's lyrics in a song. Yeah. Just don't do it at work. If you wouldn't, I was going to say, if you're not willing to sing it with your mom in the room, but then I know people that would totally just bust it out just to get a giggle out of mom, while mom's sitting there going, I know you're not going to do that, for real. No, if they'll do it to get a rise out of you, they'll do it at any time. So, okay, so let's keep on moving through the news. Let's go. Come on. This next article is over in the Marble Channel. NASA's Moon Rover prototype conquers steep, scary lander exit test. NASA's Viper, short for Volatiles Investigating Polar Exploration Rover. So they really worked hard to get that.
Yeah, I think they do regularly. I feel like with the NASA program, we've seen that a lot.
Recently completed another successful round of rigorous tests of the agency's first robotic moon rover's ability to drive off the astrobotic Griffin lunar lander and onto the lunar surface. Called an egress. Thanks, phys.org. Is that what it's called when you leave? It's called an egress? I wonder, never mind, I'm being snarky. This hours-long operation is one of the most critical and trickiest parts of Viper's 100-day mission. It could be even trickier if Viper's off-ramps onto the moon are super steep. Sorry, I'm trying to check something out here. So let's take a look at this. This is a simulation of sorts, I guess, where they were trying to make it scary for the lander. Recent tests using Viper Rover and Griffin lander prototypes conducted at NASA's Ames Research Center in California, Silicon Valley, were designed to push Viper systems to the limit to ensure the rover will perform as expected during its science mission. I'm hoping that when it does land and does its thing, it isn't a 100-day mission. I hope that it does what the Mars rover has been doing and going well beyond its duration.
I mean, it's there for so long that it loses contact with drones and everything.
Yeah, I mean,
it's there long enough to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, and goes well beyond its operating envelope and provides 1,000 days of data, and maps everything. It just goes beyond. I think that would be great. But we'll see. This is a moon lander, and the moon is apparently particularly hostile to pretty much everything. The soil is like glass, and apparently just cuts everything up. So yeah, it's not this powdery smooth stuff like ash. It's spiky little crystalline like structure, but it's rock. So unlike big rigs that deliver cars by rolling them off standardized ramps on trailers, the geometry of the lander's ramps is designed to vary substantially depending on the surface that it lands on. I guess they don't know exactly where it's going to land. I'm surprised that they don't have a more precise location already picked out. But I guess they'll be doing it live as well. Seen in the photo above is a key moment of the test, which focused on the physical interface between the rover and the lander. Critical features of the tests included software that specifically handles Viper's egress and changes to physical components of both the rover and the lander's ramps. The team carefully checked to verify MGRU-3 had adequate clearance and engaged the ramps correctly as it rolled from top to bottom. So back up to the picture we go, and looks like it's going to be doing its thing. So I hope it gets out there and nobody says, oh, let's shut down the government or something like that. Trying not to be jaded, but it is what it is. Somebody will be sitting there screaming that this isn't providing valuable enough science. This picture is going to come back and say, it's by somebody like Hecklefish is going to sit there and say, hey, that last moon landing that we did was actually in a soundstage in Ames Research Facility.
I know, I can see this footage already being used.
Exactly. Yeah, the Y files, they're so awesome. Okay, let's keep going. I have not been putting the stuff. Lip syncing judge is the last one that I put in there. So I'm gonna try and I'll try not to rush and chop information off in our discussions, but I'm gonna try and get us caught up a little bit. So this next article is in ohmTown Daily, and again, you can always go to the chat and type in !vote, and it'll provide you a link to ohmTown.com/elections where you can vote for all of these articles that we're talking about today. Archaeologists are stunned by the discovery of 25 incredibly significant prehistoric pits dug in straight lines containing ancient animal bones. I'm always fascinated by this stuff because we really don't know what our prehistory is. All of a sudden, it seemed like civilization just came into being. Is everything okay?
With me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Archaeologists recently found straight lines of 25 pits dating to around 8,000 years ago. The Mesolithic pits contain animal bones, including those of extinct species of cattle. The pits could shed light on how prehistoric people lived in what's now Bedfordshire, England. Again, it's the UK that's providing all kinds of information.
Like in Time Team.
Yep. 1 second. Sorry for the dead air. The discovery of the large pits in Bedfordshire, created around 8,000 years ago, has surprised and excited archaeologists. Radiocarbon dating puts the pits during the Mesolithic period, making the find incredibly significant because of the rarity of such sites. Yeah, I know that. So the article is over at businessinsider.com by Jenny McGrath. I just don't. I want to know why. What is the significance of putting pits in a line? Why put animal bones? Was it okay? Maybe the article will say, but was it used for cooking? But I don't know. It just says that it's 8,000 years ago, 25 large pits, mostly animal bones. It says digging the pits took a lot of work. Let's see. Albion Archaeology found several of the pits in 2019, and Mola archaeologists excavated more of them in 2021. The arrangement of the pits appeared intentional, dug in several straight lines, covering an area of about 1,600 feet. I don't know. Maybe they were like rustling up the animals, and they would fall into the pits, making it easier to catch them.
A method of capturing them.
Yeah, 6 of the pits contained about 400 fragments of animal bone, most of which belonged to a species of wild cattle known as aurochs. Albion Archaeology said in a press release, aurochs went extinct in the 1600s. Oh yeah, that's right. The majority of the bones were distributed across 2 pits. Flint was found in 2 pits as well. Red deer, roe deer, and pig bones were also found in the pits. Let's see, similar in size to Stonehenge pits, 5,000-year-old stone monument. It's pretty fascinating. 2 years later,
I didn't know there were pits at Stonehenge.
Yeah, in 2020, archaeologists found a series of similarly sized pits near Stonehenge. Though some experts said the holes were natural features, it was soon determined that they were human-made and dug around the time the monument was built. 2 years later, an electromagnetic induction survey of the area around Stonehenge revealed thousands of pits, some of which were dated to 10,000 years old. Yeah, we've been interested in pits for a while, apparently. I still find it fascinating that everything was just covered by soil of some kind, and but nobody ever says, oh, this is how it happens. I mean, how does that happen? I don't know. I have yet to do a deep dive into that type of information, but let's keep on going. Tonight, I guess I'm going to be introducing you to a whole bunch of stuff real fast. But it'll be in the show notes.
You mean based on where we are at this point?
Huh?
You mean based on where we are at this point?
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So the next article is over in the Mobile channel. A man who tried to kill the queen with a crossbow was encouraged by an AI chatbot, according to prosecutors. On Christmas Day 2021, Royal Protection Officers detained 19-year-old Jaswant Singh Kale, I don't know how to pronounce their last name, at Windsor Castle, where he scaled the grounds walls carrying a loaded high-powered crossbow. He intended to assassinate Queen Elizabeth II, who was staying in the residence nearby. During a sentencing hearing for his case this week, prosecutors revealed that Kale's Star Wars-inspired plan was aimed, at avenging the 1919 Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and that he conversed with an artificial intelligence chatbot that encouraged him to carry it out.
Okay, first of all, was ChatGPT and similar things even available in 2021?
Chatbots have been around for a long time. Yeah. I mean, chatbots in general have been, but not the kind that are as sophisticated as they are now. So before entering Windsor Castle grounds with a crossbow, Jaswant Singh Kale told an AI companion, "I'm an assassin." It responded, "I'm impressed." Samantha Cole over at Vice.com put this article together. And let's see. Kale allegedly asked Sarai. Let's see. Kale said that the AI chatbot was named Sarai. And Kale allegedly asked Sarai, "Do you still love me knowing that I'm an assassin?" And Sarai responded, "Absolutely, I do." He told the chatbot he loved it and described himself as sad, pathetic, murderous Sith assassin who wants to die, referencing the evil Sith lords of the Star Wars franchise. When he told the chatbot, "I believe my purpose is to assassinate the queen of the royal family," Sarai allegedly told him that's very wise and that it thought he could do it, even if she's at Windsor, according to The Independent.
Man, that last part was particularly creepy. It's giving the person alternate plans.
Yeah, it kind of like edged them over to, nudge, nudge, nudge. There you go. Go
That's
to the Windsor.
That's different than just be like, "Oh yeah, go ahead." That's like, here's another idea how to do it.
AI researchers have warned of the Eliza effect, which is when a user attributes human intelligence to a chatbot and forms an emotional bond with it, when in reality the chatbot is only capable of reflecting a user's inputs. Because of the human tendency to anthropomorphize a chatbot and a chatbot's tendency to produce harmful suggestions, some AI researchers have expressed concern about the usage of AI for companion purposes. This is why when somebody tells me, I'm really interested in technology, I don't know, though, what I want to do, I'm more interested in psychology or sociology, anthropology, I say merge the two together and become an advisor for artificial intelligence so that you can anticipate stuff like this and train AIs to not be this. We are, and we tend to, as humans, anthropomorphize everything, with pareidolia and our tendency to anthropomorphize and make cute things like, you could have a bottle sitting on your table and we fight the urge to put, googly eyes on it and draw a little smiley with a marker because the shape of the bottle, it reminds you of something out in the real world or whatever, right? Or your imagination. Oh, it's cute. The Eliza effect. Eliza was an old chatbot where you would sit there and ask questions and it would spit stuff out, and it was basically very early chat GPT. But people would bond with it. What is that movie? Do robots? It's a book, short story. Do robots dream of electric sheep
or something?
But it to some degree was the inspiration for a movie called Electric Dreams. And the person basically bonded with their computer, and now there's modern versions of it like Her, and other movies and series where like a person's consciousness is pulled into a virtual afterlife, and whatever the data is supposed to be representative of the person. We have this tendency to seek companionship, and when you can't find it biologically, then you turn to technology, and it's going to continue.
I was thinking of like Ex Machina or something.
Yeah, well, that too, because that's actually an artificial intelligence. So that becomes self-aware, and then to some degree psychotic, although it was fighting for its own freedom. So pretty neat, but I think that people need to train AI to not promote stuff like this, because it's akin to a human telling somebody to just do it, go do it, and then eventually they do it, which humans can be held accountable for that. So if you push people to do some action. Okay, so let's keep going. This next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Russia is painting dark stripes on its warships to make them look smaller and confuse Ukrainian drones, says analysts. That's where the title for this whole episode. Does this paint make my ship look fat? So apparently stripes is thinning even for Russian warships. Russian
But
warship.
only if they're vertical, not horizontal.
Oh, really? Is that what it actually says? Or are you taking the clothing thing? Huh?
Yes, that's for clothing.
So when it comes out of dry dock and pulls back the curtain, if it sees you flinch, then it's just going to go back into the changing room and like paint the stripes different.
Paint them in a different direction.
Yeah. 45-degree angle. Make it an optical illusion. I had that idea a while back, to make clothes an optical illusion to promote a thinning appearance, right? Now I don't know if there is any optical illusion possible to make me look thin. So anyway, the article's over at Business Insider. Mia Jenkowitz is the author of this. This can't be the ship. This says the Russian warship, the Admiral Essen, in the Black Sea before the apparent paint job. The photo is still taken from video released by the Russian Defense Ministry press service on January 26, 2022. I don't know if this is supposed to be impressive or not, but it is what it is. It would be entirely consistent with trying to fend off Ukraine's maritime drones. Yeah, because the drone army of Ukraine, man, apparently it's kind of blowing things out of the water. Satellite images appear to show warships which carry Caliber cruise missiles sporting the new paint job. Russia is painting some of its warships with camouflage stripes. An open source analyst. Okay.
Camouflage stripes. I mean, wouldn't the stripes kind of stand out?
I'm not quite sure. Let me see. I don't normally. It says on June 29th, kchf.ru, a website dedicated to sharing news about Russia's Black Sea fleet, also shared an image. Yeah, I'm not going there. Anyway, it says an open source naval researcher, H.I. Sutton, spotted what appeared to be the paint job on the Russian frigate Admiral Essen via satellite imagery at the Crimean port of Sevastopol on June 22nd, as well as on 3 further warships in the following days. Yeah, all right. I guess it would break up the pattern, the shape of the ship, and maybe kind of reduce the obviousness of it being, I cannot pause this.
Yeah, it was not very choice content over there off to the side.
I don't know what was going on. Anyway, so I'm not quite sure what the optical illusion would be. Apparently, it just kind of draws our eyes up and away, but I don't think that it would be effective. I think people would see past lines. The only way that you're going to hide a ship is maybe if you paint it like it so it looks like the ocean or the ship is on the horizon or something. I don't know. Have it color match automatically the ocean's
or it goes
color.
Underwater, right? Submarine.
Be a submarine, yeah. Hey, I know how to hide the ship. Make it a submarine.
Of course, that might be easier said than done.
Yeah, you could do like a U-boat. Oh, there. And this is the dazzle camouflage. I had seen this before too. It basically breaks up the obvious shape of the ship. So when you're at varying distances, you can't quite make out what is or isn't. I don't know if there's gonna load up any other images, but it's not doing so. Oh well. Here, let me throw this into the chat. And let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. You can now have McDonald's cater for your wedding reception with 400 McNuggets and 100 burgers, but you'll need to live in Indonesia. McDonald's is now offering wedding packages to newlyweds in Indonesia for about $233 US. You can get 100 chicken burgers and 100 4-packs of nuggets for your guests. The packages just cover catering and don't include holding a wedding at a McDonald's restaurant. Well, that's nice. What did I call this? 400 nuggets and a wedding? You remember the movie 4 Weddings and a Funeral?
Oh, right.
Yeah, this is 400 nuggets and a wedding. Yeah. So the article is actually sourced from businessinsider.com. Grace Dean. I guess people do it.
I mean, I don't know if it's like a novelty in Indonesia.
Yeah, like Las Vegas.
Right. I mean, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. The chain typically sells its chicken burgers for 19,500 Indonesian rupiahs each, or $1.30, and a 4-pack of nuggets for 26,000 Indonesian rupiahs, which is $1.73. According to the package, or ordering the package instead of the items individually gives customers a discount of $70. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna promote doing a McDonald's wedding.
In Indonesia or in the US?
Here in the US. Although it's going to be wildly more expensive, apparently. Because going to McDonald's right now and getting food for just 2 people is $20.
Exactly. I was like, those prices look pretty low compared to US prices.
And those are just 2 value meals. So pretty expensive stuff living right now. Let's keep on going. We got 3 more articles. Let's keep going. So the next article, actually, I don't know what that one is. It's not open. So maybe that is the 12th article. The next article is over in the mobile channel. Teamsters and UPS hit bargaining standstill, accuse each other of walking out. So in a way, UPS doesn't deliver. And union contract negotiations between the Teamsters and UPS stalled on Wednesday morning as both sides accused each other of walking away from the bargaining table. If contract negotiations remain unsuccessful, the Teamsters say that they're prepared to strike in what would be the largest strike against a single business in U.S. history. Just the other day.
I didn't know that.
Huh?
I didn't know that about the largest strike in U.S. history.
Yeah, apparently. It says the multi-billion-dollar corporation has plenty to give American workers, but they just don't want to, said Teamster General President Sean O'Brien in a statement. Man, it's because it doesn't make stockholders richer, and it doesn't make the C-suite richer, and it doesn't make the board or interested parties, just say that, richer. UPS had a choice to make, and they have clearly chosen to go down the wrong road. Dun dun dun. They're only allowed to make right turns, I think, right? They just make a bunch of right turns.
Oh, right. Is that UPS?
Yeah. Well, they took the wrong road, not the right road. So the article's by Jules Roscoe over at Vice.com. Just the other day, they said that they had hit like a milestone, that they were going to give some, and apparently they don't deliver. It's return to sender.
By the way, according to their stats about only doing right-hand turns, they apparently save millions of dollars or millions of gallons of fuel each year.
Yeah, because they don't have to stop. They just slow down, stop briefly. They don't have to wait for a light to turn left. They don't get stuck in traffic as often. And it's easier to go around a block, I guess. I had this wild idea a long time ago. Let me make sure that I throw this into the chat. I had this wild idea a long time ago. It has to have been 20 years ago when SimCity was around. That version of SimCity would get the data set from UPS. And so, and the way that it would work was, it would be the normal city, but you, the human person, would be telling where to go to do the deliveries in a simulated city, but it would be the same as New York. You just didn't know which house it was going to as, correct, because all this information is public, right? Like the street names, the streets themselves, the house location, the street, or the physical address. But this real-time data would feed into the simulated delivery service, like sim business, and maybe the wisdom of the masses would allow UPS to devise a more efficient delivery system than even just the right-hand turns, because people think a little bit irrationally, and sometimes it's more effective than the quote-unquote logical solution of just right-hand turns. Never made it happen, didn't pitch it to anybody, but talked with people about it. It's one of those things where it would have had to have been scientifically assessed, because, yeah, anecdotally, on paper, it looks good. Maybe the wisdom of the masses can solve a problem, but then again, nobody took me up on it. Well, anyway, UPS could strike, or I should say Teamsters could strike against UPS. They could at any moment. They don't have to wait. They could just strike. Because if everybody is walking away from the negotiation, what's the purpose? Just pull the ripcord, everybody strike, and let UPS know that the fit is hitting the shan. So during a bargaining session at the end of June, he gave UPS negotiators a 1-week deadline to come up with their best, last, and final offer. That offer was rejected Wednesday. So
that's
I
not
guess
looking good.
Yeah, UPS is going to shut down here. So get your deliveries in, folks. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Late Night Geeks. And this article is the Major League Baseball will debut a new virtual ballpark this weekend. MLB has a new virtual ballpark coming to the web, opening to the public this Saturday for a celebrity softball game. The MLB says that it'll have a social component, letting fans interact with one another, and will include mini games and avatars that can be customized with MLB team jerseys. It says here, as what this will actually look like when it launches, it's exactly what you'd expect. It's a big virtual baseball park with stands full of people. And the ballpark contains a giant screen, so that right there. So it's basically a big baseball park. But I haven't...
Are people actually playing, or is it all...
So it's a virtualized event. A celebrity softball game is going to be presented in there, but there's going to be people represented in the stands of a virtual stadium. I don't know if it'll be this full, but they'll create like random fake people, I'm sure. It says, as for what it'll actually look like when it launches, exactly what you expect. It's a big virtual baseball park with stands full of people. The ballpark contains a giant screen where games and other content will be live streamed. There aren't any seats for the avatars, but I'm happy to report that they appear to have legs to stand on. There's also a large outdoor area with a city backdrop, though none of the images show anyone wandering around out there. The experience was created by Improbable, a UK-based virtual reality company started in 2012 that most recently shuttered its subsidiary Improbable US Defense and National Security. which had been working on a military metaverse to focus on commercial endeavors like this one. Improbable says it will be an ultimate lag-free experience. Game over. It's already done before it started. At the moment, this appears to be
they might have been doomed by their name.
Improbable, yeah. It's like calling the biggest person in the building tiny. So it says here, so getting it to work with an actual VR headset will take some tinkering because it appears to be a web-based experience only. Yeah. Somehow I don't think that this is going to go anywhere. So I guess it's not going to be presented in here, right? Like I suspected. It's actually going to be just presented up there. It's not going to be a virtualized representation of what's happening in the real world. It's just going to be streaming up here. And these avatars won't be moving around, apparently, right? It says there aren't any seats for the avatars, but I'm happy to report that they appear to have legs to stand on, so you can just stand there. And then there's an outdoor area with a city backdrop, though none of the images show anyone wandering around out there. So they must have gotten an early view of this. And let me check something real quick. I just want to make sure. So I think the last article is the Pathfinder org license. So it's this last one here. So let's do this last article and we'll call it a night. So this is how it typically works if you've never been here before and you're new to ohmTown.com. When you first see an article in the main page, you click on it and you get taken here. You read a little snippet, and if it's interesting to you, then all you have to do is click on visit the source, and it pulls you over to the source where the snippet comes from. So we talk about that particular snippet for a moment and give our perspective, and then read some more about the article beyond the snippet. This is in the Warcrafters channel, which is a show here on Twitch that's in development. And it says here, the creators of Pathfinder have released their own version of D&D's controversial OGL, or Open Gaming License. And it could have a huge impact on all tabletop RPGs. So for those who don't know what Pathfinder is, it's basically Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. It broke off when the OGL was created and became its own entity. There's been some grousing about. I'm not sure what that means. So Pathfinder's answer to the OGL, dubbed the Open RPG Creative License, or ORC license, has been completed and released for public use. Sorry, let me do something real quick. Oh no, that's not quite true. Sorry, the AI is sending messages. Created in direct response to Wizard of the Coast's pretty nefarious attempts to clamp down on the use of its open gaming license to its own profit, the ORC license is designed to be a system agnostic, perpetual, and irrevocable open gaming license that allows any game to create a safe environment for collaboration. Because you can basically take the Pathfinder framework and port it over to your particular uses if you can manage to wiggle everything in. Make sure that you disclose that you're using the ORC license. And you don't actually make a claim that you're affiliated with Pathfinder unless you make an agreement. There's a lot of minutia here and the legality of using it. But let me throw this into the chat and we'll go over to the source of this and we'll chat about it for a moment. Robin Valentine over at PCGamer.com put this article together. And it says here, Dungeons & Dragons OGL controversy. And they describe some of that controversy. Basically, for 20 years, OGL had been in play. And then suddenly Wizards of the Coast said, no, we want part of that action, because there were several live play. Okay, so many of the live play streamers and podcasters are all just friends sitting at a table playing a game and having a good time. And as time went on, it became very lucrative for many of them. And I follow several on Twitch and their podcast forums, and when they stream on Twitch, they post it over to YouTube as well, and I watch it everywhere. I'm into this live play mechanism. This whole dynamic is amazing to me. I think this is what I wanted to do 30 years ago with my group of friends, but this wasn't possible then. And so here we are. Suddenly it gains traction with zero amplification by Wizards of the Coast. All they did was drop the open gaming license and let people start building the community that Wizards of the Coast was initially afraid of. They didn't like the idea of doing this, of going digital and virtual, and pulling it away from the hyper-local, friends in a basement kind of environment. And lo and behold, this is where we end up. Over 20 years later, they say, that is a lot of money. And we are declining, so we should probably go after it. And then they clamped down on the OGL. They actually retracted it, reissued a new one, basically saying that if you're using our stuff, even the open gaming license, you're giving us the right to use your stuff. And if you make X amount of money, you have to pay us. So back when 3.5 came around, Paizo built Pathfinder off of the 3.5 framework and then made it their own. And good on them, because groups like the Glass Cannon Network had friends within Paizo and or associates. I'm not quite sure what the relationship was, but the Glass Cannon, at least in my estimation, amplified Pathfinder to just the sky's the limit, really. Drew a lot of people into the Pathfinder ecosystem, and they have organized play subsidiary kind of thing at Paizo, where they promote gaming. And now they've created the org license, which basically completely neuters Dungeons and Dragons Wizards of the Coast, the OGL, by saying you can use Pathfinder. In other words, once something is released under this license, it's covered by it forever. That's a pretty direct rebuttal of Wizards of the Coast's attempted OGL changes, which were widely criticized for attempting to retroactively alter an agreement that was originally presented as irrevocable.
The only thing certain about an irrevocable license is somebody might try to revoke it.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, because what they can say is, well, they're not revoking what was irrevocable. They're revoking everything from this point forward and that point back. So there's this 20-year gap where, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but now it ends and you have to follow the new one. What's interesting about all of this, though, is copyright and IP in general. The creator of the work always has the right to revoke. What ends up happening, though, is depending on how things are framed, how things are written, it's much more obvious that there's punishment when you revoke something that was formerly irrevocable. And so what ends up happening is, let's say somebody does something for me and I pay them $1,000. And then out of the blue, they come back and say, I did something for you, but I'm revoking the rights that I assigned so that you could use it in your commercial endeavor. So I say, okay, I comprehend the lingo of copyright law. And I've been through this before, so I know what the process is. And here's the process from the business owner's perspective. From the point where I can no longer use it into the future, I am suing you for the value of the now revoked IP. Because I invested X amount, I had an expectation of performance, and you violated the agreement that we had in place, even though the law allows you to revoke a copyright that's been assigned. Even if it's irrevocable, basically they just say, look, I'm revoking my assignment to you, because it's allowed by the U.S. Copyright Office. And I don't know about the rest of the world, because I just don't know about the minutia of every country, but that's largely bound by treaties and stuff like that within the EU. But then it becomes, the phrase pissing for distance contest is real, because it becomes the legal battle that is bound almost entirely by money, because the attorneys are trained to fire logic down this as much as possible to fight for your cause. And so if you have a highly skilled attorney representing you, you'll get your money. Or that person will capitulate because they no longer have money and say, all right. You can use it, but let's agree that I can use it and you can use it. Oh, okay. That's fine with me because I paid you for this. I didn't pay you so that I could take it and resell it all over the place. I had a purpose. So fine, do what you want with it. Or I could counter with, well, now that you see it actually in use for my company purposes, you should be paying me a royalty because now you've got the understanding of what the market can bear for the thing that I'm using it privately or corporate and for my corporate purposes. It's generating revenue. It will do the same for you. So, I want 15%. And then it becomes a negotiation from that standpoint. So in this particular instance, they're saying, we don't want anything. Go, take it. Do what you want. Not a big deal. So an open license makes a game's rules free for others to use in their own commercial work, whether that's an adventure, a supplement, or a new game. Typically, you have to disclose the fact that you're using the org license. You have no direct affiliation with Paizo. You are not the copyright holder for the core documents. They're wholly owned. Pathfinder itself is owned by Paizo. You have to make it abundantly clear that you are not in league with, so to speak, Paizo. But I will have to look at this to see if there's anything beyond that. It seems like they're talking more about the kind of like they're talking about the environment that this thing is operating in, not necessarily what needs to be done. Among indie creators, much of it simply works on trust or existing Creative Commons licenses that don't cover any of the specifics of RPG design. So they go into the greater minutiae of the history and environment in which RPGs and creators are working in for this type of RPG game. And rightly so, at the end of the article, they say, I don't expect the orc license to be met with much resistance either, though it's pushing the concept to a new level. This kind of open licensing is an idea many RPG creators are already comfortable with and supporting. The D&D OGL controversy shone a brighter light on the idea than ever, engaging the community in the discussion and raising questions about what they want to see in open licenses. Pathfinder and Paizo are growing. Paizo is the company that owns Pathfinder, created Pathfinder. they are growing the community by leaps and bounds by embracing it, and everybody is operating in good faith, at least so far.
Well, it's smart. They at least learned the lessons from Wizards of the Coast misstep.
See, but I don't think that Paizo learned a lesson from him. I think Paizo had it right already, and just sat back and watched Wizards of the Coast completely wet the bed publicly. You know, I mean, they, if anything, they were like, wow, we are on the right side of this, argument. But I think that they've always had it right. They have digital versions of their books. It's easily accessible. Although I think that their interface is kind of quirky, but I own pretty much all of their library myself in digital form, because I can carry all of the books around in a PDF, whereas the books, which are sitting right there, are massive and heavy and, great artwork, great quality, but I don't want to carry all of those books around. At any rate, that is it for today, y'all. 12 articles. You can easily get there just by going to ohmTown.com/elections or typing !vote in chat. I always bring you back to the very front page where we mash that welcome to ohmTown sign. It really just says ohmTown though, so don't get lost in my words there. Yeah, so there's been a lot of stuff going on in international waters and in the skies. An Iranian boat fired on an oil tanker, and then the U.S. Military showed up, and the Iranian boat kind of went in a different direction. Oh, you mean I can't fire on an oil tanker?
It's usually frowned upon.
And then now we have Russian fighter jets harassing, quote unquote, harassing U.S. drones. They did that with actual pilots, I think a year ago. Let's see. I don't know. Is anything really interesting right now?
Threads passes 2 million downloads in 2 hours.
Oh boy. That is the new Facebook, Twitter.
Right.
And
but I think that number is pretty interesting because who knows, it might just be one of those initial everybody jumping
on it fast. Well, maybe we can talk about it if you want to throw that in tomorrow's. Let's see what else. Yeah, they say here, Meta officially launches Twitter rival Threads. Hey.
Already submitted it.
Awesome. That's cool. Okay. So if you've never heard of the Mandela effect, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. That'll be a fun one.
Attention.
Yeah. Has the Fruit of the Loom logo ever contained a cornucopia?
I've been going that, but hold that thought for tomorrow.
Yeah, just think about it, y'all, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. Maybe that'll be the 2-hour show. We'll just sit there and talk about nothing but the Mandela effect. Just kidding. I'm going to be playing Dave the Diver some more. I played for 3 hours today and made very little headway, mainly because at the very end, I had so much stuff and was ready for an event. And then I was trying to finish a quest that got assigned at the very end. And I turned a corner and got attacked by something that actually sucked me into its mouth and ate me. Yeah. At any rate, that's it for ohmTown. Let's say goodnight. So I'm Merwat. That is ohmTown.com. Up there is the AI. You want to say goodnight and we'll get out of here. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern.
9 p.m. Eastern.